Hey everyone, welcome to episode 24 of Heroic Nonsense. Today we'll be jumping right back into my review of the Transformers G.I. Joe crossover of none other than Soundwave as the Dreadnok Thunder Machine. But before I do, I want to thank you all for your support of this channel and what I do here as we continue to grow because we just hit 150 subscribers. I know that may not seem like a lot, but to me it's everything. I started this channel from scratch, growing bit by bit. Every subscriber has been earned, and I'm so excited to see what's next and to continue to grow this channel with all of you, so thank you. Now enough of that sappy stuff, and let's check out part 2 of Soundwave versus the Thunder Machine. So if you've seen part 1, link here and below, you know that we reviewed the Transformer himself Soundwave as well as the Thunder Machine and had some other fun bits, including the step-by-step transformation and some stop motion. This time we'll be looking at Soundwave with the other two bots of the crossover series, Megatron and Bumblebee, thrown into the mix. We'll also compare the crossover Thunder Machine with my original 80s one, and we'll end it all with some fun Dreadnok action, combining my original Joes with this version of Soundwave. So grab on tight as we get down and dirty in the swamp with the Dreadnoks and Soundwave. By the way, keep an eye out for a little surprise guest who I will start throwing into reviews going forward. Let me know who it is and when in the comments section if you spot him. Let's start off with the three crossover bots themselves, Megatron as the Cobra HISS tank, Bumblebee as the G.I. Joe Striker, and of course Soundwave as the Dreadnok Thunder Machine. Having Soundwave as a G.I. Joe vehicle is great because we can get a Masterpiece size figure that ends up fitting the Masterpiece cassettes. For this set, as you know, they used a recolored version of Masterpiece Ravage, so I of course have to throw in Masterpiece Laserbeak for Megatron. If you want to see all the other cassettes with Soundwave, check out part 1. So you can see how Soundwave and Megatron line up, and they are fun to display together given their similar size. I think they did a better job with Soundwave in robot form, but really you can't expect a perfect classic Transformer bot mode when you have to fit them into very iconic G.I. Joe vehicles. The extra fun bit for all three crossovers is the ability to hold G.I. Joe figures on their backs, so here I use Cobra Commander in black from a bit later in the original series for Megatron, and the Zartan that came with Soundwave. By way of a strict side-by-side comparison, you can see that they are essentially the same size, which generally lines up with their classic cartoon G1 sizes. I love the idea of having these two big, iconic Decepticons in scale with the 1/18 scale G.I. Joes, and if I was a kid, I'd have gone crazy with this as I created stories and battles in my room. As for the vehicles, they both look great. They are both in scale with the original toys, those being the HISS tank and Dreadnok Thunder Machine, and they look as great as they did in their original G.I. Joe forms. A few differences here and there, but overall the vehicles are really where these figures shine. Now onto Bumblebee, which is representing the Autobots all by his lonesome until the Triple T Cup crossover is released. I think the Striker was a good fit for Bumblebee given his size. I really like the way he is smaller than both Soundwave and Megatron in bot mode, and once again generally fits into the scale of the G1 cartoon. Here I use the Sonic Blaster General Hawk just because I love this design and he doesn't get enough attention out there, I'd say. The vehicles next to each other look great, and you can get a glimpse of some display ideas with the Dreadnoks I'll be showcasing later. Now this is where it gets kinda cool because we get to compare this Soundwave crossover with my original Dreadnok Thunder Machine. Right off the bat, you can notice two things. The vehicles are generally very similar, but the colors are different, with the Soundwave one being a lighter blue and using a more vibrant red, and the crossover version has painted on details rather than stickers. However, overall, you can tell that a lot of the original mold was used for Soundwave. The front Pontiac Trans Am part was always my favorite in this psycho mashup of a vehicle, which is so fitting for the 80s and the Dreadnoks. You'll notice a lot of differences between the original stickers and the painted on versions Soundwave uses. They did a pretty good job replicating these, and in some cases the updated version looks better. Here they not only painted on the headlights but added some dividers between the lights, which was a nice added detail. You can also see that the grille cage is thicker than the original. Not sure which I like better. Which do you guys prefer? The driver's compartment is pretty much identical again with painted on details versus stickers for Soundwave. I'd say the stickers had more detailing, but the Soundwave painted on elements are more vibrant, so it's a toss up and really more of a preference. As for the machine guns on the hood, they went with a gray version instead of a black one. I'm not sure if it was a cost saving thing or because gray is more in line with Soundwave's cassette deck colors, but I do prefer the original black and think the black looks less toy-like. The wheels are probably one of the bigger differences, with the Dreadnok having the good old rubber they used back in the day with a darker peg to hold it in, versus the Soundwave one which uses plastic wheels and has a way too big peg. Again, I wish they went with at least a darker colored peg, and I don't really care much for plastic wheels. It's clear from the side view how much they were able to replicate from the original. The gray machine guns and thruster on the back stand out the most for me, but it's fine if you think of it as having a variant of the Thunder Machine paint job. I find the original a bit more sleek looking, but I believe that's mostly due to the slope machine guns on the original versus the more realistically positioned version on the crossover, which faces straight ahead. The side flaps are very similar, even down to the detailed lines, and you get a good side view of the thrusters where you can see the major color difference as well as more stickers on the original. In this case, I think I do ultimately like the painted on versions of the original stickers, at least for the lights, which you can see some of here. The back looks great in both versions, and one attention to detail that I liked was that the Soundwave version of the thruster does become his shoulder cannon. However, when you put it back on the car, it's pretty cool because you need to rotate down the back part so it lines up perfectly the way it did on the original. The inside of the driver and passenger area used the same mold, which is very nice, with the original having a lot more red. I think I prefer the crossover version here with some red on the seats and the rest of the interior blue. Seems like I lost my original steering wheel, but I'm sure it was similar. I tried to show the seats here, the main point being that the Soundwave ones are thicker, and it's likely because these form part of Soundwave's feet in bot mode. However, this ends up giving the 118 Dreadnoks less space in the interior of the vehicle and makes it a bit harder for them to fit in. Mostly wanted to show the cool attention to detail here with the Dreadnok symbol, vehicle number, and stars of defeated Joes etched into the side of the Thunder Machine being fairly accurately replicated. By the way, you also get the exact same 118 O-ring scale pegs for the G.I. Joe figures to fit on, which is also a nice addition. I most definitely had to show Thrasher sitting in the driver's seat of the Soundwave Thunder Machine. I love that I still have all my original figures that I can do this with. And finally, the Cobra Decepticon crossovers next to their original version so you can see how they all match up. Really fun having these next to each other, and I can't wait until they make the next batch. Alright, now to the fun wild stuff with the good old boys themselves, my original Dreadnoks hanging out with Soundwave. For Joe fans, I'm sure you'll enjoy seeing some of the original Dreadnoks, especially Nagahide, as he is about to be released in the classified line. I may have to do a review of him and throw in my original 118 scaled one. And the best shot, in my opinion, the entire crossover set with all of my original Dreadnoks, including Thrasher, Monkey Wrench, Torch, Nagahide, and his pet boar, and a hidden gem, Zanzibar, the Dreadnok pirate with his air skiff. Some vehicle mayhem, chasing down some G.I. Joes and Autobots with Zanzibar bringing up the rear and Ravage leading the charge. And Megatron, Cobra Commander, the Dreadnoks and Soundwave taking on Bumblebee and another Awestriker led by General Hawk. I'm going to end this all out with a fun display action shot idea with different pics of Soundwave and Bumblebee transforming in battle while the Joes and Dreadnoks continue to duke it out. I haven't displayed these guys yet this way in our display, but now that I have some of my original G.I. Joe vehicles here, I think this could be a fun way to showcase them together. And because I like you guys so much, a bonus of Zartan and Zarana that came with the crossover set next to their recent classified versions. So that's it for this episode, finally wrapping up the review of the G.I. Joe Transformers crossover of Soundwave and the Thunder Machine. Hope you enjoyed this fun mix-up of my two favorite toy lines starting from when I was a kid. July is fast approaching, and I'll be finally getting a bunch of new Transformers and G.I. Joe Classified in the mail, so keep a lookout for a bunch of new and exciting reviews. Until then, I'll try to do some fun reviews in between based on our entire collection, new and old. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already so we can hit 250 next. And remember, it's all such heroic nonsense in the end.
Transform!